Welcome to Sci-Fi Bedtime Stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. The deafening shriek of dying engines filled my ears as my ship plunged through the atmosphere of an uncharted world. My fingers danced across the control panel, desperately trying to salvage the craft. But it was futile. The ground rushed to meet me, and then blackness. When I awoke, I was sprawled amidst the smoking remnants of my vessel. Groaning, I pushed myself up, surveying the damage. Utter loss. But miraculously, I was relatively unharmed. "Well, this is just fantastic," I muttered, brushing debris from my flight suit. Stranded, alone, on an alien world, with no way to call for help. Perfect. As my eyes adjusted to the dim light, I realized I'd crashed in a clearing, surrounded by strange, glowing vegetation. The air was thick, humid, filled with alien scents. A rustling in the nearby foliage made me tense, reaching for my blaster. "Hello?" I called cautiously. "Is anyone there?" Suddenly, a figure emerged from the undergrowth. My jaw dropped. It was a woman, or at least a female humanoid with striking blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the low light. Her features were undeniably alien, yet hauntingly beautiful. She approached slowly, her piercing eyes locking onto mine. I found myself transfixed, unable to look away. Hi there," I stammered. "I come in peace." The alien tilted her head, studying me curiously. When she spoke, her voice was melodic, otherworldly. "Welcome, stranger. I am Init, leader of the Azura. What brings you to our world?" I blinked, surprised that she spoke English. "Oh, well, it wasn't exactly a planned visit. My ship crashed." I was cut off as more blue-skinned figures emerged from the forest. All of them were female, all of them stunningly attractive. I swallowed hard, suddenly very aware of my predicament. "Ladies," I said with an awkward wave, "wouldn't happen to be an intergalactic repair shop nearby, would there?" Init's lips curved into an amused smile. "I'm afraid not, traveler, but perhaps we can be of assistance in other ways." There was something in her tone that made my pulse quicken. I cleared my throat. "Right, well, I appreciate that. I'm Daniel, by the way. Interstellar explorer extraordinaire, and apparently crash test dummy." A ripple of laughter went through the group. Init's eyes sparkled with interest. "An explorer? How fascinating. We so rarely get visitors to our world." "The few who do tend to flee rather quickly." I raised an eyebrow. "Flee? Why is that?" Init exchanged glances with her companions. "Perhaps it would be best if we discuss this somewhere more comfortable. Will you join us in our village?" I hesitated, weighing my options. On one hand, following a group of mysterious aliens into their lair probably wasn't the smartest move. On the other hand, well, I was already stranded on an alien planet. How much worse could things get? "Lead the way," I said with a grin. As we trekked through the bioluminescent forest, I found myself captivated by Init. She moved with an otherworldly grace, her blue skin seeming to glow from within. I had to remind myself to watch my footing instead of staring. "So Init," I said, trying to sound casual, "what exactly did you mean about visitors fleeing?" She glanced back at me, a mischievous glint in her eye. "Let's just say that our dietary needs can be rather intimidating to outsiders." I nearly tripped over a root. "Dietary needs? You're not going to eat me, are you?" Init laughed, the sound like tinkling bells. "Not in the way you're thinking, no." Before I could press further, we emerged into a clearing. My eyes widened. Structures that looked like a cross between giant flowers and glowing mushrooms dotted the landscape. In the center, a large, pulsating crystal bathed everything in a soft blue glow. "Welcome to our home," Init said, gesturing grandly. As we entered the village, I noticed something odd. "Where are all the men?" I asked. A shadow passed over Inet's face. There are no men here, anymore. My hand instinctively moved towards my blaster. What happened to them? Inet sighed. It's complicated. Come, let us sit, and I will explain. She led me to a circular structure, some sort of communal gathering place. As we settled onto cushions, I couldn't help but notice how the other Azura women were eyeing me, hungrily. All right, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I'm all ears. What's the deal with this place? Inet leaned forward, her eyes locking onto mine. Our species survives on sexual energy, Daniel. We require it to live, just as you require food and water. I blinked. Ked, what is this? Our men, they couldn't sustain us. They fled, fearing we'd drain them dry. Now our people starve. Daniel's mind reeled. So you're like sexy energy vampires? Inet tilted her head. I'm unfamiliar with that, but perhaps? Daniel ran a hand through his hair. And I'm the walking buffet? A predatory grin spread across her face. You have no idea. Daniel shifted uncomfortably, meeting their hungry gazes. Look, I'm flattered, but I'm not dinner, beautiful as the diners may be. Inet softened. We wouldn't force you, Daniel, but an arrangement? Ship repairs for energy? Surely a solution exists. His mouth went dry. I'll think. Inet nodded. Of course. Why don't I show you our village? Learn of our ways. Her hand brushed his arm, and a jolt of electricity shot through him. Careful, Inet purred. Unless you fall for me. Daniel chuckled nervously. This is going to be a cultural exchange. Fascinated and bewildered, Daniel observed their customs. A dance commenced. A ceremony? He asked, watching the hypnotic movements. Inet nodded. A ritual to... Suddenly, a dancer lunged. Instinctively, he dropped into a fighting stance. Whoa, he exclaimed. I don't want trouble. The women burst into laughter. Inet placed a calming hand on his arm, another spark of energy. Peace, Daniel, she said, amusement evident. It's not an attack. It's to entice mates. Daniel flushed. Oh, well, I feel idiotic. Her eyes sparkled with mirth. Your reflexes are quite impressive. As the tour continued, Daniel found himself increasingly drawn to Inet. Her intelligence, wit, and playful flirtations charmed him. But as night fell and they returned to the crystal, her demeanor shifted. Daniel, she said softly, her face serious. I haven't been entirely truthful. He tensed. What do you mean? Inet turned, desperation and determination in her eyes. Our situation is far worse. The crystal, the heart of our civilization. It's dying, and we with it. Daniel's heart sank. What can I do? She stepped closer, caressing his cheek. A surge of energy coursed through him, leaving him breathless. You could save us, Daniel, she whispered. Your energy, it's unlike anything we've seen. With your help, we might survive. Conflicting emotions warred within him. He should run, but he wanted to stay, to help these fascinating creatures, especially her. I don't know, he stammered. Inet's eyes bore into his. Say you'll consider it. Stay for now. Give us a chance. Daniel took a deep breath, knowing his next words would change everything. All right, he said finally. I'll stay. No promises beyond that. A brilliant smile lit up her face. That's all I ask. Thank you, Daniel. You have no idea what this means. Bathed in the glow of the fading crystal, he knew his life had changed. So, he said, attempting to lighten the mood, any spare parts? My ship won't fix itself. Inet laughed, the tension easing. I'm sure we can find something. Our technology may be a bit different. Daniel grinned. Different is what I live for. As they walked, Init's hand occasionally brushing his, Daniel couldn't help but wonder what he had gotten himself into. But he didn't care. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he was ready. Suddenly, Init stopped, her grip tightening. Before Daniel could even react, she drew him near, her breath a warm whisper against his ear as her other hand moved with startling speed, her fingers closing around his most sensitive part, sending a jolt of surprise through him. "Daniel," she purred, her voice a sultry caress. "You have absolutely no comprehension of how profoundly I've anticipated this very moment." He stiffened, his pulse hammering a frantic rhythm. "Init, Shh," she hushed him, her touch stroking him with deliberate, teasing intent. "Your energy is utterly intoxicating. I can feel it surging through you, so incredibly vibrant, so powerfully potent." Daniel's breath caught, a dizzying rush of arousal and apprehension flooding his senses. "I don't think you ponder far too much," she murmured, her lips brushing lightly against his earlobe. "Release yourself, Daniel. Allow me to unveil the true, astonishing depths of our connection." Her words, laced with a potent blend of promise and subtle warning, sent a shiver racing down his spine. He was utterly ensnared by her allure, his body responding instinctively to her touch, despite the insistent alarms clamoring within his mind. This was a perilous venture, a game that threatened to utterly consume him. As her hand continued its maddeningly skillful exploration, Daniel fought valiantly to maintain his composure. "Init," he managed to gasp. I need to comprehend precisely what it is you are doing to me." She let out a soft chuckle, a sound that resonated deep within him. "I am, quite simply, sampling the extraordinary energy you so generously bestow. We Errands possess a multitude of ways to interact, Daniel. Some are, shall we say, considerably more intimate than others." Her grip tightened subtly, and Daniel stifled a groan. "And this, then, is one of those intimate ways." "Indeed," she confirmed, her voice like smooth velvet. "But this is merely the prelude. There is so much more I yearn to discover with you." Daniel's mind reeled with conflicting sensations. He was undeniably drawn to Init, to her ethereal beauty and the electric current that flowed between them. Yet he also perceived the inherent danger in completely yielding to her desires. "I must know what transpires if I surrender," he inquired, his voice barely audible. Init's eyes blazed with an inner luminescence as she met his gaze. "If you surrender, Daniel, you will taste pleasures that exceed your wildest imaginings. But remember, with immense pleasure comes significant responsibility. Are you prepared to embrace that?" Daniel swallowed, his resolve faltering. I am uncertain." "Consider it carefully," she whispered, her hand slowly releasing him as the alien sun ascended above the shimmering, bioluminescent landscape. Daniel found himself standing before a gathering of expectant Azuan women, their cerulean skin catching the soft glow of the nascent morning. Init stood beside him, her presence both grounding and strangely disquieting. "All right, ladies," Daniel announced, clapping his hands together. "Let's figure out a way to energize me without, inadvertently causing my demise in the process." Init arched an eyebrow. "Energize you?" "An earth expression," Daniel clarified with a wink. "It signifies to invigorate or enhance power." A playful, almost mischievous smile touched Init's lips. I believe we can certainly manage that." The initial attempt at energy transfer was, to put it mildly, a catastrophic failure. Daniel sat cross-legged in the center of a circle formed by the Azuan women, their hands extended towards him. Now focus your inner energies, Init instructed. Allow them to flow through you and emanate outwards towards us. Daniel closed his eyes, concentrating intensely. Like this? He questioned, his voice strained. Abruptly, a loud, profoundly embarrassing sound escaped his body. Daniel's eyes snapped open in mortification. Oh, the heavens, he groaned. That wasn't energy transfer. That was merely flatulence. The Aswan women erupted into spontaneous laughter, and even Init couldn't suppress her amusement, her melodious laughter echoing through the air. Well, she declared, dabbing tears from her eyes, at least we've established you can produce some form of emission. Daniel buried his face in his hands. Please, just end me now. The ensuing days were marked by a succession of similar blunders, as Daniel and the Uzurans explored various energy transfer methodologies. One endeavor left him coated in a peculiar, luminous, viscous substance that required hours to remove. Another resulted in him inadvertently broadcasting his thoughts, leading to some rather awkward revelations when the Azuans discovered his profound fondness for earth foods they found utterly repugnant. Throughout these trials, Init remained steadfastly by his side, her patience appearing virtually boundless. Yet Daniel couldn't help but observe the way her gaze lingered on him, or how her touch seemed to persist just a fraction longer than strictly necessary. Init's eyes searched his countenance. You hesitate to fully expose yourself to us, to me. Can you genuinely blame me? Daniel asked, running a hand through his hair. I'm striving to assist, but simultaneously attempting to avoid, you understand, perishing in the endeavor. Init reached out, her hand gently caressing his cheek. The touch sent a thrilling surge of electricity through him, and he had to fight the overwhelming inclination to lean into it. Daniel, she murmured, you must place your trust in us. Trust in me. I would never permit any harm to befall you. Their faces were mere inches apart. Daniel could feel the magnetic pull of her energy, beckoning him like an irresistible siren's call. It would be so effortlessly simple to succumb, to allow himself to be completely absorbed by her. With a surge of desperate longing, he reached out and pulled her closer. Init gasped, her eyes widening in startled surprise before darkening with an undeniable, mutual yearning. Her cerulean skin shimmered in the subdued light, a living tapestry of otherworldly beauty. Every contour of her being was a breathtaking marvel. From the sweep of her hips to the elegant line of her legs, Daniel's hands explored her. Her skin, smooth and yielding, her muscles firm, a perfect balance. He traced the curve of her thighs, feeling the strength within, ready to unleash. Her hips, full and inviting, a siren's call, against the slimness of her waist. A vision, a goddess made flesh, he craved her. Her breath came in quick, shallow gasps as she pressed against him, her lips soft and warm, the taste of their shared alien fruits, a kiss of pure hunger. Her hands everywhere, exploring him, claiming him. A groan escaped him as waves of pleasure washed over him. Her fingers found his shirt buttons, undoing them with skilled ease. He shed the cloth, eager to feel her against his skin. She mirrored his action, her perfect form revealed. He kissed his way down her neck, savoring her taste, the feel, her every response. Her legs wrapped around his waist, drawing him close. Her heat enveloped him. With a growl of need, he lifted her to a bed of glowing plants, casting them in an ethereal light. He took a moment, drinking in the sight of her. Her eyes dark with desire, her lips parted, chest rising and falling. Exquisite, every curve a masterpiece. Her legs, long and shapely, now wrapped around him, pulling him down. When it was over, they lay together, trembling, breaths mingling. He held her close, feeling the steady beat of her heart. She was beautiful, powerful, and he knew he'd found something precious. Init looked up at him, eyes soft and filled with a warmth that took his breath away. "Thank you," she whispered, her fingers tracing his face, "for trusting me, for giving yourself." Daniel smiled, kissing her forehead. "It was my pleasure," he murmured, his voice rough with emotion. "And I'd do it again." As they lay entwined, the alien sun rose, casting its light. For the first time since crashing on this world, Daniel felt peace, a sense of belonging. He knew he would face whatever lay ahead, with Init by his side. The next day, he threw himself into repairing his ship. He was elbows deep in wires when Init approached. "How goes it?" she asked. Daniel grunted, not looking up. "Slow. Your spare parts are like trying to fix a computer with stone tools." "No offense," Init chuckled. "None taken. Perhaps I could offer a distraction." Before he could respond, Init began to dance. Primal, sensual, her blue skin shimmering. Daniel was transfixed, unable to look away. He could feel her energy, calling to something deep within. "Init," Daniel managed. "What are you doing?" She moved closer, her movements becoming more intimate. "Showing you what you're missing," she purred. "Don't you want to truly connect?" Daniel's resolve crumbled. He reached out, his hand hovering above her skin. The air crackled. At the last moment, he snatched his hand back. "I can't," he said, his voice ragged. "I'm sorry, but I can't risk it." Disappointment flashed, then understanding. "I see," she said softly. "Then perhaps we can connect in other ways." Over the next weeks, Daniel and Init shared stories, laughing at cultural differences. "Wait," Daniel said one evening, choking. "Burping is a formal greeting?" Init nodded solemnly, eyes twinkling. "Indeed. The louder, the better." Daniel grinned. "No wonder those visitors ran away. They probably thought you were declaring war." As they laughed, his feelings for Init grew beyond physical attraction. She was brilliant, funny, kind, but reality had a way of intruding. He noticed the growing desperation in the Aran women's eyes. The crystal. Daniel's dwindling vitality mirrored the fading light of their world, a dimness that deepened each passing day. One hushed morning, Init approached, her face etched with profound concern. "Daniel," she implored, her voice trembling with urgency, "our time grows perilously short. The crystal, it weakens at an alarming pace." Daniel's spirit plummeted. "How long do we have?" Init's somber gaze offered little hope. "Mere days, perhaps a week, unless we find a solution, and quickly." The unspoken dread hung heavy in the air. Daniel grasped the dire implications instantly. "What must I do?" he asked, a tremor of apprehension in his voice. Init met his gaze, her eyes alight with a fragile blend of hope and fear. "There's one last recourse, a method that, while potent, carries significant personal risk for you." Daniel's throat tightened. "Tell me." Init revealed the truth, a direct, unshielded conduit of Daniel's own life force into the failing crystal. This immense offering would secure the Yuan's survival for countless years, but the cost to Daniel's very being would be devastating. "You're asking me to give my life," Daniel stated, his voice barely a whisper. Init's hand found his, a gentle, reassuring pressure. "I'm asking you to safeguard an entire species, Daniel, but the decision is irrevocably yours." Daniel closed his eyes, the weight of his choices pressing down. He felt the pull of duty, the urge to aid where he could, warring with the primal instinct for self-preservation, the quiet longing for his own future. When he reopened his eyes, Init watched him, her expression an enigma. "I need to consider this," he finally declared. Init nodded, understanding dawning in her eyes. "Of course, Daniel, but please do not delay. Our remaining moments are precious." As she withdrew, the burden of a world's destiny settled upon Daniel's shoulders. Regardless of his path, he knew it would irrevocably alter not only his own existence, but the very fabric of this alien world. The sun descended, painting the alien horizon with long, somber shadows that stretched across the quiet village. Daniel stood solitary, a silhouette beside his partially mended vessel, his gaze lost among the unfamiliar constellations. Somewhere in that vast expanse lay Earth, his cherished home, his former life. It now felt impossibly distant, separated by an ocean of starlight. He turned, his attention drawn to the Yuan settlement, to the faltering crystal that held their collective fate, and to Init, who stood watching him from the periphery, her eyes a tempest of hope and apprehension. Taking a deep, steadying breath, Daniel steeled himself for the inevitable. His decision was made. Now, he needed the fortitude to see it through. With newfound resolve, Daniel moved with purpose toward the village heart, his mind resolute. The Yuans gathered, their skin a luminous blue, reflecting their anxious anticipation. Init stepped forward, her gaze fixed on him, alight with a radiant hope. "I have made my choice," Daniel announced, his voice cutting through the hushed expectancy. "I will aid you, but not in the manner you might have envisioned." Init tilted her head, intrigue flickering in her eyes. "What do you mean by that?" Daniel inhaled deeply. "My ship possesses an antimatter power core. Should we manage to connect it to your crystal, it will sufficiently energize your people for generations to come." A stir of collective excitement pulsed through the assembled Yuans. Init's eyes widened in astonishment. "But Daniel, that would mean—" "I understand," he replied softly. "I would be stranded here, but it is a small sacrifice for the salvation of an entire civilization." Init drew nearer, her hand tentatively touching his arm. A familiar surge of energy flowed between them, more potent than ever before. "Are you truly certain of this?" Daniel nodded, a knowing, almost rueful smile gracing his lips. "After all, there are far less appealing places to be stranded. At least the company is rather delightful." Init's laughter, a delicate melody, carried a blend of sheer joy and utter disbelief. "You continue to astonish me, Daniel of Earth." The subsequent days dissolved into a frenzied period of collaboration as Daniel and the Yuans worked to seamlessly integrate his ship's power source with their crystalline heart. It was an intricate undertaking, fraught with the constant threat of catastrophic failure. "No, no, no!" Daniel cried out, swiftly intercepting a glowing conduit before an overzealous Yuan could make the connection. "That cable absolutely cannot go there unless you intend to obliterate us all." Init raised a questioning eyebrow. "Obliterate?" Daniel sighed, wiping beads of sweat from his brow. "It's an Earth idiom, meaning, well, it would be exceedingly bad." As their joint efforts progressed, the unspoken tension between Daniel and Init grew increasingly tangible. Their hands would brush accidentally as they exchanged tools, fleeting touches that ignited palpable sparks of energy within them both. Their gazes locked more frequently, conveying a depth of unspoken longing. Finally, on the eve of the momentous energy transfer, Init drew Daniel aside. They stood in the sheltering darkness cast by his ship, the alien moons bathing the landscape in an otherworldly luminescence. "Daniel," Init murmured, her voice husky with emotion, "before this day concludes, I must know. What are we to each other?" Daniel's heart hammered against his ribs. He reached out, his fingers gently tracing the exquisite curve of her cheek. "I believe you already know. Init, I've fought it with all my might, but I am falling for you, deeply." Init leaned into his touch, her eyelids fluttering shut. "And I, for you. But there is something crucial you must understand before." Daniel silenced her words with a kiss. It was electrifying, quite literally so. Energy crackled between their lips as they met, a powerful surge that left them both breathless. Yet the harsh reality of their situation intruded once more. "Tomorrow," Init whispered, the words barely audible after the transfer's completion. "We will discuss everything then." Daniel nodded, a sense of reluctant acceptance settling over him as he stepped back. "Tomorrow," he echoed. The following dawn broke, bright and serene. The entire Yuan community. The dim light of the weakening crystal pulsed, barely visible. Daniel stood before his ship, hand poised, ready for the final command. Beside him, Init, her presence a soothing comfort. "Ready?" he asked, his gaze fixed on her. Init nodded, her eyes reflecting a swirling mix of emotions Daniel couldn't quite grasp. "Do it," he whispered, taking a breath, and completed the connection. A sound erupted, like 1,000 exploding suns, as energy surged from the ship into the crystal. Power crackled in the air, raising goosebumps on Daniel's arms. The crystal roared to life, its brilliance intensified, too bright to look at. Joyous shouts echoed from the Yuans. But something was wrong. The energy flow wouldn't stop. Cracks spiderwebbed across the crystal's surface. "It's too much!" Daniel yelled, his voice lost in the chaos. "We have to stop it!" He lunged for the connection, but Init held him back. "Wait!" she cried out. Then a blinding flash of light. Daniel threw up his arm, sure this was the end. When he lowered his arm, a sleek, futuristic lab surrounded him. The lush, bioluminescent world was gone. The Yuans stood around him, more solid, more real. "What the hell?" Daniel muttered, bewildered. Init stepped forward, her face a mask of guilt and determination. "I'm sorry, Daniel. It's time you knew the truth." Over the next hour, Init revealed all. The Yuans were a highly advanced civilization, conducting experiments on interspecies interaction. Daniel was chosen for his unique mix of bravery, compassion, and adaptability. "So it was all fake?" Daniel asked, his voice heavy with disbelief. "The energy transfer? The dying crystal?" Init shook her head emphatically. "Not my feelings for you, Daniel. That wasn't part of the experiment." Daniel paced the lab. "I don't know what to believe. You lied to me, manipulated me to see how I would react. And you exceeded our wildest expectations," Init stated. "Your willingness to sacrifice everything for a people you barely knew. It was remarkable." Daniel stopped pacing, staring at Init. "What now? You have your data. What about me?" Init took a breath. "We can return you to Earth. Your ship is ready. You could go home and forget this." "Or?" Daniel asked, sensing there was more. "Or," Init whispered, "you could stay. Join us. Our civilization spans galaxies, Daniel. We could explore the universe together and see where this goes." Daniel's mind spun. Go home, or embark on an adventure with this woman, this alien he was falling for? He looked at Init, seeing genuine emotion in her eyes. "If I stay," he said slowly, "no more lies. Just you. You and me. Together." Init's face lit up. "I promise," she said fiercely. "No more secrets." Daniel breathed deeply, weighing his options. Earth or the unknown. It wasn't a choice. "Well," he said, a grin spreading, "I always wanted to see the universe. But fair warning, if you think my jokes were bad before." Init laughed, joy filling the sound. She stepped forward, taking his hands in hers. "I can't wait for the puns," she said, their kiss sealing their agreement, a spark igniting between them. Daniel thought, sometimes the greatest adventures arise from the unexpected, and sometimes home isn't a place, but a person. The lab vanished, replaced by the vast expanse of space. Stars twinkled, and as Daniel and Init began their cosmic journey, hand in hand, he knew whatever challenges awaited, they would face them together, one flirtatious alien encounter at a time.